Hello. I sent you a link, Tonya. So we got 6 watching. Is anybody commenting? Hey, Marissa. How are you? Sharon. There she is. How are you, dear? Feel like I haven't seen you this week. Well, we don't actually see each other, do we? But in the chats. I think I saw Marissa last night. How interesting. I found True Crime Recliner. I think you were in there maybe for a little bit. I found that so interesting. I loved hearing, hey, AJ. Just having an author. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his work, but I've read some of his work. So I was like, ooh, like that was pretty cool. He gets some really good interviews. We got to get him some more subscribers. He does a great job. Hey, girl. I sent you an invite to your email. Kaleidoscope of Crime. I can send it to your messenger if that's what you want, but I figured email since you're probably using your studio. Oh no, Karen. Or sorry, Karen. Sharon, what happened? I've been asking, I have a lot of clients that are starting to get it and they've gotten their second one. My parents have. And just kind of keeping track of like their symptoms. I think it's okay to have some symptoms when you get it. I mean, that's your body building up immunity and to fight off something so that you can have the antibodies for it. I was not, oh, okay. Sorry. I watched this morning. I really enjoyed Keith. I did too. I thought that was really cool. I did too. Oh, just all the symptoms. You had all of the symptoms. Did you get a fever and headache and that kind of stuff? Wow. Survived, right? My sister has made it mandatory for getting to see my nephew. So, it looks like I will be getting a vaccine. I have a lot of, well, as you guys know, OCD. So, irrational fear is my co-companion. Hey, Cole. Hey, well, who's your cold cases? How are you? Thanks for being here. Oh, good. Oh, here she is. Hello.
Just a minute. I got to mute you over here.
Yeah.
There we go. Hi. Got to adjust cam here. There we go.
I'm glad you're doing good, Hoosier. I am so enjoying your channel. You and Ivy kicked ass the other day. That was so great. If you guys haven't, go check that out. He is allowing us to kind of help him with some future endeavors for Hoosier Cold Cases as well. And I'm telling you guys, you're not going to want to miss this. This dude is brilliant. And I'm honored to call him my friend. I'll just say that. And I think that what he's about to do is going to be really, really interesting and really kind of, I loved what Incog did. My personality fits her really well. I think she is an amazing person to boot with the biggest heart. And but yeah, check out Hoosier Cold Cases. And Amber, I don't know if she's in here yet. I'm excited about her channel. I wish I could help her with the videos, but as y'all see, I've done like 3 and I mostly do lives. So hey Chris, how are you? Truth and Justice, my girl Ange, getting everybody in here. I'm just saying hi. I'm
I don't know where I put Jason. Do you know where I put my phone? Hi, everybody.
And I'll tell you what, getting Chris G in your he shares all of everybody's stuff, which I think is so good, and we all need that support. And that dude
So
is
helpful.
excellent at it. He really is, with a big heart. I know he doesn't like, he'll probably say something here in 1 second about that, but take it, Chris. I like you. How are you, Tonya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast? See, we both have podcasts that are not on YouTube. Wombat, what's up, dude? Miss talking to you, miss chatting. You have to jump on Zoom with me sometime. But we both have podcasts that are not on YouTube. And so you have to go somewhere else to listen to those. And Kaleidoscope has a podcast called Kaleidoscope of Crime. And do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Like how you came to decide to do a podcast?
CJ talked me into it late one night.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah. Well, I had nothing better to do anymore, so I decided why not give it a shot.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
started Kaleidoscope of Crime. It's strictly Canadian crimes. I do a lot of unsolved and a lot of historical crimes.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited. We jumped on Zoom last night and just, I was kind of embarrassed of my ignorance, to be honest, of Canady. I know it's not Canady, but I like to call it Canady.
I like it.
I had so many questions, but then again, I was kind of like, well, I sound like I didn't even want to ask, but I'm going to try not to care about that because I think probably if I have a lot of questions, other people do too. And I think it's really good to get to know each other. You know, the world takes all kinds of kinds, and there's so many differences and similarities. And the one similarity we do have is that darkness is everywhere, and these evil, I don't like to call them evil because I don't know that they all are, but these murderers and perpetrators are everywhere. So, want to get started?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm any smarter about Canada than you are, though, Mel.
Why is that?
Because everything seems to be all about American justice system.
Yeah. Some of the questions I have about Canada, we'll get into those later after we've done our cases, but definitely remind me if I forget to ask the sum of those questions I just mentioned. So,
Okay.
Yeah, not really. My rules are, obviously be kind first.
Jason, dog.
I think that's important, and respect the guests on the live, even if you don't agree. Respect the guests that we host. I think that's really important. It's a pet peeve of mine, and I like upfront and forthright, and do not victim blame. These cases are going to be difficult, just because of the sensitive nature of familicide in at least my case and possibly in Tonya's. So, yeah, let's get rolling. Would you
Okay.
like to go first, or do you want me to?
I could if you want.
That's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. Let me pull up the picture of your O'Brien boys. Where did I put them? Oh, I know where I did it.
I wish StreamYard would show the chat on my end. Okay, are we ready? Mel? I don't know. Am I supposed to be telling my story now, or am I waiting for the pictures to come up? Can everyone hear me? All right, well, maybe I'll just go on with the story or the case while we wait for Mel, since everyone can see and hear me.
Am I back?
Yep. I was just
Jeez.
about to carry on without you.
I couldn't. I don't know what I did. I'll tell you what, these technical difficulties are I'm so over them. I wish I could just get the hang of this. I tried figuring out OBS today and finally gave up. The show must go on, Chris. Yep, you just keep on going. All right, let's try this again.
All right. So do you want to bring up the picture, or should I just go on with the case?
You can go ahead and start talking, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, which is off the east coast of Canada. It's an island. Part of it is an island. I don't even know where to go here on this. It's only where we're going is only accessible from the mainland by ferry, which is important to know. And this case takes place in November of 1996. Sorry. We're talking about the parental abduction of Adam, Trevor, and Mitchell O'Brien. So in November of 1996, the boys were living with their mother, Diana Boland, after their parents had divorced, and they were living in, oh boy,
Can you see it now?
Yep. They were living in Mount Pearl, which was only, I think, 14 kilometers away from their dad's place in Torbay, which was where they had grown up. But in the divorce, the boys went to live with their mom in an apartment in Mount Pearl, and she had full custody. And their dad, Gary, just had day visits every Saturday because he had mental health issues, suicidal tendencies, and he was violent. So because of this, he was only allowed to have them during the daytime on Saturdays, just for a few hours. And even after the divorce, he kept threatening Diana, the mother, that he would take the boys away. And because of this, before each visit, Diana would give the oldest boy, Adam, a quarter right before they left, and tell him that he couldn't spend that quarter on anything at all. He had to keep it and hang on to it for the whole visit, so that if anything happened, if they were taken anywhere they shouldn't be, anybody hurt them in any way, one of them was to run to a payphone and call her right away, because back then there were no cell phones, no computers, no internet to the degree that we have today. So payphone would have been the best bet back then. And she made him promise that he, pardon?
That is not Tonya's phone. I don't know why it's on there. Or that's not your home.
Who?
This is not her home. I don't know what it's doing there.
Oh, no, don't show that.
No, it's not even your home, though. I don't know why it's there.
That's good. So November 8th was Diana's birthday on Friday, and then on Saturday the boys were to go visit their dad, but the youngest boy, Mitchell, was sick, so she didn't want him to go. But when she called Gary, he got really angry and aggressive and insisted that all three boys had to be ready when he came to pick them up. And in spite of that, he was still late picking them up. He picked them up around 12:30 in the afternoon on November 9th, 1996. And as far as Diana knew, he was taking them back to his place to visit for the day. But instead, at 8:30 that night, Gary phoned Diana and told her that she was never going to see the boys again, and that he had rigged the family home to explode if anyone tried to go inside.
Propane
Diana
tank.
later described, pardon?
With propane tanks, isn't that what you told me last night?
Yeah, I was going to get to that part.
Oh, phew.
You spoiled it, Mel.
I'm sorry.
So during the phone call, of course, this shattered Diana, and she collapsed to the floor, and she was hysterical, and she was begging to talk to the boys. And Gary just kept cussing and swearing and at her and calling her names and just being really jerkish. And when she said, I want to talk to the boys, he just said later. And then eventually he just hung up the phone. And Diana's sister was there. So Diana's sister took over of the situation, and she contacted the police and told them what had happened and what Gary had said, and that he'd been threatening all this time to take the boys away. And that now he had said that his house was rigged with explosives and he wasn't bringing the boys home. And thankfully, the police responded really, really quickly. And they went to his house, where they found that he had rigged two 400-pound propane tanks to explode, so that if anybody went on his porch or rang his doorbell, it would flatten the entire neighborhood. This guy wasn't messing around.
Right. Definitely not.
And he was an electrician, so he did have the skill set to be able to do that effectively. And by all accounts, it was effective. So it took a while to defuse these propane bombs. And I don't know how long exactly it took, but apparently they didn't put out any alerts or anything like that until after they had defused the propane bombs and gone into the house and found that no one was there. So the bombs had their desired effect of buying him more time to get further away, perhaps.
Right.
But we don't know.
Were they actually set to explode? You might have said that and I missed it, but
yeah, he rigged
was it
two
like a
propane
ruse?
tanks, both 400 pounds. And if someone
Yeah.
rang the doorbell or went on his porch,
They would have exploded.
they would have exploded. But the bomb squad was called,
Right.
and
Okay.
they defused the bombs before anybody went near the house.
Wow.
So of course that would have taken time because it's in an isolated community. They didn't say where the bomb squad came from, but I wasn't able to find out where that was situated at the time. But
Wow.
oh, sorry, I've got something in my eye.
You're fine.
So that bought him more time for whatever he was doing, right? And so they didn't find him or the boys in the house. None of their stuff had been taken. Everything was still as it should be. Just that there was nobody there. So as soon as they realized that, then they sent out all of the nationwide alerts and roadblocks and all of that stuff, and really, really hit it hard. Like they really responded fast, and they got it out all across Canada really quickly, especially for 1996.
Right. That's true.
They got alerts out to the ferries and everything as quickly as they could. But the ferry was about an hour and a half away from where Gary was living in Torbay, Newfoundland. So he could have already been on that ferry when he called Diana. Because I think the shortest ferry ride was 7 hours and the other one was 15.
Yeah, remind us who's your cold cases to address that question you had.
Oh, there was a question?
Yeah, we'll get to the questions later. You can go ahead. I just wanted someone to remind me.
Okay. Okay, where was I? Uh, the case was featured on America's Most Wanted and the Montel Williams show, but I wasn't able to find those online. And then in October of 97, so 11 months after everybody went missing, there'd been no real tips or leads that had led anywhere, but searchers found his car, which was a 1989 Ford Tempo. I don't think we need to know his license plate number, do we?
Well, not with the next part.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I'm not sure why it's in everything, but I put it in
Well, and
anyway.
the probably in the, like, preliminary searches until they found what happened to it, you would definitely wanna include that, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. But they found the engine of the car in the Atlantic Ocean just below Redhead Flat Rock, which is only like a 14-minute drive from Torbay where Gary was living. It was in most reports it was only the car, but then in others there is the odd one that says there were some other car parts found, although they don't say what parts. They do say that the serial number on the engine was matched up to that on Gary's car, so it was definitely his car engine. And police would later say they figured because it's a 245-foot drop to the ocean and then it's choppy waters, it's November,
Right.
so
Mhm.
the ocean is pretty rough at that time of year. So
Yeah.
they figured it probably tore the car apart when it landed.
Mm,
And
that makes
that's why they
sense.
only found the engine.
You can see the
Because apparently the seas were really rough around the time that they disappeared. So, where was I? And their mother, Diana Saunders, she has since remarried. She was Diana Boland at the time that the boys disappeared because she was going by her maiden name, but now she's Diana Saunders. And she said for the first 5 years, she just locked herself away in the house and she was in really, really bad mental and emotional state, which is completely understandable. I can't imagine how anyone goes through that, especially three boys. Uh, she moved back into the house where Gary had been living at the time because she felt that that would be the most likely place where the boys would come back to. And so she wanted to be there when they did.
yeah. Hmm.
She makes every media appearance she can. She watches every little bit of coverage she can find when anybody covers the case.
Hmm.
No
So
pressure,
hard.
Tonya. She sounds like a really brave lady. I can't imagine.
Yeah, she really does.
She uses her personal Facebook page as kind of a landing pad for everything about the boys, and she posts about them on a very, very regular basis. She still believes that Gary and the boys are still alive, and that the car going in the water and the bomb were just diversionary tactics to buy him time.
Mm,
She thinks that the boys are probably living in some sort of a commune or an isolated community where there's no access to internet or anything like that. and she's convinced that she will see them again one day. So I'm not going to shoot down that hope by any means.
Mhm.
I think it takes great strength to keep up that hope for almost 25 years.
Yeah. Do you know what motivates her to I mean, she knew Gary best, you
Yeah.
know? So, what is do you know, like, is there a factor that she has hung on to as believing that they are alive?
She felt that the boys were already heavily brainwashed and controlled by their father, even though they didn't live with him and they only saw him on Saturdays. And so she felt
Right.
that he would be able to continue and maintain that control over them after leaving. And because he did go to all the trouble of rigging those bombs that would have destroyed the entire neighborhood,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem logical that he would then abscond and go somewhere else and kill them, as opposed to either setting off the bomb and killing them that way or shooting them or some other method of murder inside the
Right.
home. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah, I agree that it does seem like with all of the diversions that he set in place, what if, like, with the bomb, then you kinda have to wonder if the car was one as well, and then that they have been somewhere. But, like, what you and I were talking about last night, you know, how old would Adam or and any of the boys be? In their 30s, right? A couple of them would
Yeah,
be in their
yeah,
30s.
that was my next little bit was and Diana, she's been amazing. She has worked with all kinds of missing kids associations in Canada and created a lot of awareness for them and helped create a lot of initiatives and stuff like that with through them. And she says that that's been really helpful to her to work with people that are going through the same thing as her.
Mhm.
And the age progression photos that you had there, those were released in 2017.
Okay.
So they'd be roughly about 4 years old now. And the RCMP don't keep in regular touch with her anymore. They have said that they will contact her if they have a really promising lead, but otherwise they don't want to put her through the heartache of the roller coaster of maybe, maybe not,
Right.
which is totally understandable. Nobody's spoken openly about whether there have been any remains that turned out not to be them or anything like that, or what any of the leads were. The only really significant lead was in 1999. A lady in Thunder Bay, Ontario, had called Child Find Canada and said that she used to babysit the boys and she knew information about the boys and the nickname of one of the boys, all stuff that was not released in the media. So they thought it was a credible lead and they tried to follow it up, and they did a big media release all across Canada to ask her to get in touch or anybody who knew her to get in touch, and they never heard anything back from that. So it
Mm.
just stagnated there.
And you were talking about her belief is that he's kinda brainwashing, which, the
Right.
coercive control is, definitely something that a good manipulator sounds like he's
Oh,
a pretty smart guy,
yeah,
to
he
be able
was an
to pull off what he
electrician
did.
and very controlling and manipulative of her and the boys. So,
Yeah. He also fits the category of the
um,
typical family annihilator too. I can't have them, you know if I can't
well,
have
yeah,
you,
especially
you
with
can't
all the
have what you
press.
love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, she believes that he wouldn't have gone to all that trouble just to go kill them somewhere else. But I wonder if he might have done that and taken them somewhere where he felt they would never ever be found so that she would go through all of this.
Mm. Yeah, I've seen that too, unfortunately. Or, with the car going over that cliff, he could have been in that car as well,
Yeah.
you know, and just what.
It really could go either way. And the police have basically said that too, that they can't rule anything in or out. And it's an
Right.
open investigation and they still follow up leads. And the last lead they mentioned was in 2016, but they didn't say what it was.
Oh, man.
And there's been nothing else said about it since 2017. So the boys were Trevor Anthony Thomas O'Brien. He was born May 8th, 1985. He had dark brown hair, blue eyes, and a scar on the back of his head. Oops. He would be 35 years old, and Diana says he was the jokester of the family, and she figured he would be the ladies' man and the party boy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the oldest boy, Adam Matthew O'Brien. He was born October 28th, 1982. He was 14 when he disappeared and would be 38 years old now. He also has brown hair and blue eyes. At the time he had clear braces on his teeth, and he was the quiet protector of his brothers,
Mm. Oh.
which is so sweet. And then little Mitchell Gary Marcus O'Brien. He was born November 29th of 1991. He also has the dark brown hair, but he has brown eyes instead because everybody's got to have something distinguishing. So he was only 4 years old, and Diana said that he was just a quiet boy and his personality hadn't really begun to develop much yet.
Mm.
Some are born with a personality right out of the womb, and some develop it as they grow. I guess he was one of the latter.
My
And the
youngest
boys,
had one inside the womb. Whew.
yeah, that too.
She knew when I was going to go to bed, and that little stinker would start kicking up a storm.
And automobile, yes. Although I'm not sure what the percentages is. I didn't anticipate that particular question.
What
But
about the commune theory? What is
there
that
is a
something?
heavy Inuit community in the area on Newfoundland, Labrador.
A what?
Inuit, that's the indigenous culture that's there is Inuvik and Inuit.
Okay, I see. But not commune related.
No,
Yeah, that's what I thought. Just wanted to make sure.
but Otto's question was about indigenous people.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I wasn't able to find anything about communes.
Okay.
Sorry. And Gary O'Brien, he was 44, I believe, at the time of the abduction. He had gray hair. He was 5 feet 10 inches tall. His date of birth is October 16th of 1956. He only weighed 135 pounds, so a little creepy because he's built exactly like my husband, same height, same weight. Was it you, Jason? What? Nothing. He says no. And he liked to frequent swimming pools and gaming arcades. And he's considered extremely dangerous. And that's the end of that. Oh yeah, and
Wow.
also If you have any information about the kids or Gary, please call 1-866-KID-TIPS, which is 543-8477, or the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary at 709-729-8000.
Great. I hope
Okay, I think I'm
they,
done.
yeah. Well, I think I highlighted it earlier, but just that not knowing would be that'd be so hard, I would think. But then again, not knowing, you still have hope that they're alive and well.
Yeah, and I think that's what keeps her going.
Yeah. But how well are
But
they?
to
That's
be
what I always
honest,
go
how
back
well
to.
are they if they're being abused and manipulated and controlled by someone like Gary?
Yeah. Or in other situations, sexually trafficked or, being harmed in that kind of a way. Like, phew, be so hard. All of it's just hard. A couple of the
I don't
families
think
that
there is
I've
any
worked with,
such thing as a positive possibility in this situation.
well, no, but they were grateful for the families I've worked with were grateful for that they had bodies of their children back
Yeah.
that they could bury, and they felt bad for. Like the one was centered around Teresa Dean. Her body has never been found and presumed murdered, but like how they felt so bad and that they felt fortunate. It's like makes you so sad, and just like people being able to find a positive in like a silver
In
lining
burying their
in such a
child or their,
sad, like
yeah.
that's sad that's their silver lining. It's really sad.
For Diana, the silver lining is just her hope that she will see the boys again and her belief that she's a grandmother and that they're okay.
Mm, wow, that's hard.
I cannot imagine. And especially times three. That's just unfathomable to me.
Marissa has a question for you. Is he out there living day to day where the mother has contact with him, or is he hiding? Sorry if you mentioned already. Gary. I think she's talking about Gary.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. The mother believes that yes, he's out there living day to day in some isolated commune or community or something. The police are saying they don't know one way or the other whether he's alive or dead,
Mm-hmm.
and whether the boys are alive or dead, they don't know. They've had nothing to indicate yes or no. The only thing was that engine out in the ocean.
Right. Did they ever do a psychological profile or like a forensic autopsy of him, like of a
No, not that
psychological?
they've released.
Huh?
They haven't released anything if they have.
Yeah.
All they will say about him is that he had mental health issues and suicidal tendencies and he was violent, but they won't mention anything else.
Right. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for Tonya about the O'Brien brothers?
And the only thing I could find out about his family is that his parents died before he did this, but I don't know. And he did have at least one sister.
Was that like right before or?
I think the mother was 2 years before, and then the dad was before that.
Oh, well. So like three stressors right in a row
Yep.
with the
And yeah,
divorce
and the
and
divorce, which I
custody.
couldn't even find out when they divorced, how long they had been
Hmm.
going through that arrangement. But he does sound like the kind of guy that her getting custody of the boys would have just been an absolutely unacceptable thing to him because that takes his power away.
Right. He wasn't going to let that happen, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary, and there's so
And
many,
he
we
has
know of, like, Chris Watts, we know of Peterson, we know of like some of these bigger ones list. But there are so many that we've never heard of,
Yeah.
of these family annihilators or parenticide is becoming, it's on the rise, which is,
The parental abductions that I have found in Canada just completely by accident while I'm looking at other stuff is just mind boggling. And the lack of coverage is
yeah,
heartbreaking. It just breaks
yeah.
my heart.
Well, that would be parental abduction, but parenticide is under that same umbrella of, but it's kids killing their parents.
Okay, yeah. I haven't
Yeah,
looked into those much in Canada yet.
yeah. Well, if you are done, let's see.
Take your turn.
If you come across anything about how he was in the past, were there signs of him being like that? Seems
Oh, absolutely. Yes, he was violent his entire life by what his ex-wife said. She's the only one that has talked to the media about him.
mhm,
His family has been hush hush and has basically pretended that Gary and the boys never existed.
right. The Beaver Brothers. Okay.
I haven't heard
I'll have
that
to look
one.
into that. I haven't, yeah, and that's the thing. I was listening while I was getting ready. I was listening to I'm not gonna remember the channel. I think it was like Mind Matters or something like that, and was talking about this very topic, and it was just heartbreaking of the breakdown of all like the reasons why they do this are they're fit into like a very specific category, and it seems like across the board they usually all do. It's the John List was, well, his excuse anyway, we don't know. I mean, this is just a mind of a madman, but just
Oh
that
God, that
nihilism of
was
I'm
very.
gonna save them, they're gonna be in heaven, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna wipe them out. This world is, just it's not everything. Like, let's just go on to the next life. And that's exactly why he didn't want to commit suicide, is because he believed that if he committed suicide, he wouldn't get to go to heaven to be with his family again. Andrea Gates, and then you have the Chris Wattses, and I think that like Scott Peterson, they do it too. In the case I'm getting ready to talk to, I think it has a little bit of a different element to it, but still the same, and a bit of mixture of like both, where they do it for another life. Like they seem to think that that's like their best option.
yeah,
It's just crazy of like, well, I'm not going to pay her, you know,
hmm,
and she's going to take all my money, and I want to start a new family, and like I already have this family, and they're inconvenienced by that, and so they
yeah,
they murder them all. And then you have your case, Gary O'Brien, of like, well, that's, you're not going to leave me. You're not, if you leave me, I will kill them all because you're not going to
and
have
you're
any
not going to
kind of,
take over control of my children.
nope. So it is better in their mind. It seems like it's the only option in their mind that they have is to kill them all. Whether they kill themselves after or not, it's still about that control,
Yeah,
if I can't have you,
even if they are in jail, they still won.
no one else will. Or when they just kill the children, that is an intentional spite
Yeah,
of, you're
yeah,
going to
like
live the
I
rest of your
said, could
life
he have killed them
wandering.
elsewhere so that she would go through this torture forever?
I
Maybe
think I
he would.
remember that case, Ivy. I think I remember that. But to kind of stay on a time,
Yep,
not to get too bad, I'm going to go ahead and start on my case.
yep.
And I lost all of my tabs that I had when that little blooper happened. So you're
Oh,
going to have to bear with me for a minute while I try to find everything again. So,
okay. There was a familicide near us just a few years ago that was absolutely horrible too.
Mm.
He murdered the mother and three of her children, but those children were they had a different dad. And then she had a baby with him, and he killed the three oldest kids and the mother. And then he drove 2 hours away to the home of some relatives and left the baby with him, and then went and killed himself. So he saved the baby that was his, but he killed all of the others, the mother and the three kids. And he did this on the birthday of the children's father and sent him a text of his children's dead bodies. Are you ready?
Not quite. I'm getting there.
Okay. I'm just trying to fill time.
Can you can you see my screen?
Yep. And with these, when the parents kill their kids and then commit suicide, it makes the news for a little while, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You never hear anything more about it, and you don't get a whole lot of information on the background or what would have led up to it.
Right. Okay. Fort Wayne girl missing near bus stop. Fort Wayne police are searching for a 10-year-old girl who disappeared on her way to school bus stop. Alejandra
Now
Gutierrez.
let me go off camera for just 1 second, okay? I just had something come up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can you mute?
Yeah.
Okay. 10-year-old girl who disappeared on her way to a school bus stop. Alejandra Gutierrez, mother, told police she last saw her daughter when the girl left home on the city's south side about 9:50 a.m. Thursday for the bus stop a few blocks away. Fort Wayne police interviewed school officials, neighbors, and Alejandra's friends and concluded that the girl never made it to the stop. Alejandra has black shoulder-length dark hair and brown eyes and has a slightly heavy build, police say. This happened on December 8th, and she was not reported missing until 9 o'clock at night because the school, there was a oversight, and the interpreter who was responsible for calling to let the parents know that she did not arrive home. Yeah. And so she was reported at 9 o'clock at night. So this was on December 8th. And then
Okay, I'm back.
okay. And they basically, they they searched for her. They had a vigil. There was a very extensive search. She was known as, here's a picture of her, a Fort Wayne's daughter. So that is her there. She's so cute.
Those eyes.
Yeah.
Even in the thumbnail, she looked cute.
Right. Yeah, she is. And so the police, they're asked to help, but this is just, Fort Wayne police are asking northeastern Indiana residents to search their properties for signs of a girl missing since last week, while her father's coworkers are hand delivering flyers with information about her. Police Chief Rusty York wants people to inspect their homes, outside buildings, and properties, focusing on secluded areas where a 10-year-old might hide. Instead of just us, we have more than 250,000 people looking. Wow. Um, Alejandra Gutierrez disappearance December 8th. On her way to the school bus stop on Tuesday, police charged a man who lives 2 houses from the stop in the death of his wife and 3 daughters, whose bodies were found at his home. Police do not believe the cases are related. So this is their feeling early on. Sorry, I have this all lined up in a chronological order, and of course, every time I try to do anything with sharing screen, it blows up in my face. Why does it keep doing that? Okay. This is the murder that took place on December 13th, just 5 days after Alejandra was reported missing. Fort Wayne, Indiana, police arrest an auto mechanic Tuesday in connection with the killings of his wife and 3 daughters, shattering the image their neighbors held of a perfect family. How many times have we heard that? Simon Rios, 33, faces 4 preliminary charges of murder. Police declined to name the victims, but neighbors said Rios lived with his wife, Ana Casas, and their 3 children, ages 2, 4, and 10. Police would not give the cause of death and provided any details about the crime scene. Rios is being held in the Allen County Jail and is scheduled for initial court appearance today. The preliminary charges of murder and 2 charges of moving a body. Friends and neighbors said that Rios and his wife, who lived on Fort Wayne South Side, went out of their way to help others and were always friendly. Rios fixed cars for free, or at least for less than a repair shop. His wife had gone around the neighbors Monday to arrange a prayer vigil for a child down the street who was missing. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're a 10, the perfect family, said Pueblo, 41, who said he was the godfather of the youngest daughter. Everybody is shocked. They were never fighting. He's a real good man. I don't know what happened. A computerized database of Allen County court records showed Rios was charged with operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated in 2001 and domestic battery in 2003. The results of those cases could not be determined Tuesday. Angie has no record of prior contact with the family. Police received a 911 call Tuesday that they first thought was a report of suicide threats. They arrived at the scene about 5 a.m. to Rios on the porch, and this is their house.
And he was dead on the porch?
No,
Oh, no, he didn't commit suicide, right?
Mm-mm.
Of course not.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
And so wails rose from the crowd as bodies were taken out. communicating with him because he seemed to speak only Spanish. Instead, officers found the bodies. Investigators then spent most of the day going over the scene at the home on South Calhoun Street, outside dozens of neighborhoods congregated in snow-covered yards, and on the pavement where the police had cornered off most of the block with yellow tape. And they watched as the Allen County coroner and wails rose from the crowd as 4 stretchers were wheeled from the front of the one-story house. The cries continued as 2 Chevy Suburbans carried the bodies from the street with a police escort. Police say autopsies would be conducted and results could be available as early as today. News of the deaths raced through the neighborhoods, which were still reeling from the disappearance last week of a 10-year-old girl, Alejandra Gutierrez, disappearance while walking the few blocks from her home to her bus stop, which was 2 doors down from the Rios home. The police don't think her disappearance and the Rios deaths are related, said officers Michael Joy. Sylvia Rosales, 24, that is Juan Rosales' mother, will come up here in a minute, was jolted by the word of the killings Tuesday morning. Her father told her many police cars were down the street. She sobbed when she heard that Casas and the 3 girls were dead. They were all nice people. My kids played with her girls. Joyner, who lived a block from the Rios family home, said the neighbors typically has little crime. And I think that was all that I wanted to read from there. And so what happens is this man murdered his entire family. Let's just get a good look at him. The real winner. There he is. That is Simon Rios. And basically, let me stop sharing for a second. So to set the scene, they live literally so close. She had to walk a couple blocks to her bus stop. And so on the 8th, Simon abducted her in his van. She had missed the bus. She got there too late. I have no idea why a 10-year-old was walking a few blocks for a bus stop. But, I mean, it happens, like we have that here where, you got to walk, kind of not blocks, and it wasn't a far walk at all. I think it was like a couple minutes from her front door, which is just, like, it's a couple minutes from her door,
Wow, that it's so close.
Right. But she missed the bus, and Simon says that he and a boy at the time, he was a minor then, but he is not now, and he turned 18 while this was all still going on. His name was Juan Rosales. He and Rios were friends. They worked on cars together, and according to Rios, he and Juan abducted, told her, okay, well, you missed the bus. His kids were friends with hers. This douchebag actually went to her house to give condolences, bringing a angel statue and telling them that she'll be home soon. And, basically like, God's good, everything's going to be fine.
God.
Like,
I can't imagine.
And then his wife is like setting up prayer vigils, for this little girl that he knows where her body is at this time, so he does that. And he did confess and told them where her body was, but I want to tell what happened to his own family. On the 13th, which was 5 days later, he says that he got in a fight with his wife about home chores. I don't believe that at all. And he hit her in the head with a pipe. And then he grabbed an extension cord and strangled her. I'm going to butcher these names and I'm so sorry. I literally tried. I even have an app to help me because I hate that. I want to do justice for him. But Theana, I know I'm not saying that right. The baby, 20 months old. He said that he strangled her with his bare hands. Giuliana, she was strangled with an extension cord. And Katerina, she was strangled with an extension cord. He then took his family's bodies and put them in bed in the I'm assuming their bedroom. He moved all of the bodies into the bedroom and they were all lined up in the bed. But he'd left the blood in the where he killed his wife. And so they actually charged him with moving a dead body because of a suspicious death, which makes me wonder of like, what did he pose them? Like, what did he do that they were so outraged about that scene? Because they don't really say, and they never did in the trial phase either. But yeah, he moved the bodies to the bedroom and then he went out to the porch and called the police. And everyone was completely shocked by this. I mean, that, like, what, you heard that article I read. That's why I wanted to read it, because these people can just blend right in. They look like, the neighbor that's helpful, the guy that's always there, the guy bringing you an angel statue and his wife's planning you a vigil. And there were signs of, I know what the papers say, and it was in the court documents, it was said that they wanted that should have been expunged because it was unfounded, but there was a domestic battery charge against it. So there was that little bit of history, but otherwise, this came out of left field. I mean, a baby, these kids were really young. It was just heartbreaking. And then while he was in custody, he started telling them what he and Juan, that's what he says, he and Juan kidnapped, raped, and murdered Alejandra Gutierrez that day. And they took her body about 50 miles away in Delaware County. And I'll pull that up because I have it, of like the area. It's so sad. Even in 2019, which was the date on the Google Earth, there's still a little teddy bear. Like, I thought it was pareidolia effect at first, and I was like, is that a teddy bear? But it was, because then I found this before I knew that I was on the right, like, place. Oh my gosh, it was so freaking sad. So this is them. This is Theana, Giliana, and Katrina. And this is their mom, Ana Casa Rios. And then this is Alejandra Gutierrez. Such beautiful people. So sad. Are you guys still there?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm still seeing messages every now and then.
Okay. And so, are you still there now? Hello?
Thumbs up, everyone.
All right. We got it.
Or down, actually.
Yeah, I don't care. You can put a thumb down if you like.
They can't see you.
Hmm?
Someone said they can't see you. CSI said she can't see you.
Can you see my screen?
Can't see the picture.
Okay.
Can't see your screen if you're sharing, they said. Oh, okay.
Now we got it.
Yeah, you were going to share a picture of the family or no?
Yeah, I just did. Or did I? I
No,
don't
you
think I
didn't.
did yet.
No.
I will. Let me do this
Okay.
first because the picture is what seems to be
I
throwing me
think
out
that's
or
what.
off.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because
So
I think that's whatever you're talking about.
this is the bus stop, and this is their house. This was Simon
Seriously.
Rios's house right here. Um,
Like two doors.
yeah, his house was really close to the bus stop. You can see that. And then this is where Juan Rosales lived. And this here, this was a little confusing, and so I don't know because the papers say that Alejandra lived blocks from the bus stop. So I don't know if this would be considered blocks, but this is Juan Rosales's house, and this is the address that pops up. This house right here that pops up for Alejandra and her family. So, and then the bus stop would be walking
Jeez.
right past Juan's, coming to the bus stop. And then there was that van. I was like, oh, it just looks like a creepy van. Can anyone see it? It's like, ew. But yeah,
It's not a
so
white van, at least.
if you're out here working in your house and, working in your driveway or whatever, the bus stop is in Clearview. And so that's just like really sad that it was that close
And it's
of
a
all of
nice
that.
neighborhood.
Yeah, it appears to be so, yes. Um, but yeah, can you see this now?
Yep.
The picture of, yeah, there we
With
go.
our cases. Yeah.
Yeah, or literally,
Look at them. They're so
right. Yeah, this
innocent and
is
young. And oh my
Ana
God.
Casa Rios, the mother of
And she was beautiful.
Tiana, Katrine, I think it might be, and Liliana. And then this is Alejandra Gutierrez. So
Aww.
I think that the um I think that was a lie. I don't think that he, killed them because he was fighting over dishes. I
No.
think it won't seem to stop sharing. I think it was, he knew what he did. He knew he was about ready to get caught. And he killed his family because of that. I really do. I think that makes the most sense. The guy planned it ahead of time, or if it happened because she missed the bus and she was just walking by. I think so. I think it was a crime of opportunity. But he did know her. Their daughters played together. They were in the same grade. They were playmates at school. And
Which made it
so,
that much easier to get her to go.
right, and that's the thing is here she is. She's missed her bus. And you can see where that lure would be pretty easy of like, oh, I think it was Jillian. Juliana's was the classmate of hers, I believe. It might have been Katrina or Katerine. Katerine. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I feel bad. But they think that it was possibly, you know, she knew them. And so it's like, oh, well, it's my friend's dad. Like that way I don't get in trouble with my parents for missing the bus. He's just going to drop me off at school, you
Yeah.
know? And then she
And
doesn't
I've had
arrive
that
at
happen as
school.
a child myself, where a neighbor or a friend's parent would drive me to school when I missed the bus.
Right. I've thought of that, like going down to
You
the
know,
bus stop and then I'm driving away and there's a kid that's running towards the bus as it's pulling
yeah,
off of like, but then again, it's like after doing true crime, like, heck no, like you don't do that. Like take, make sure they get home or whatever. But yeah, no. And there was mention of starting actually code words with your kids to where they know if that person knows the code word. It's such a simple thing to teach our kids that it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if this is your friend's, if this is your best friend's dad. It doesn't matter if this is your best friend's mom. It doesn't matter. If they don't know this word, you do not get into the car with them. Oh, to Gina De Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah.
We actually did that in school. We were taught that in elementary school to have a safe word.
But yeah, just like I don't care, with my kids, it's like I don't care if they are my best friend. I don't care if you see them every weekend. If they don't know that word, you do not get in their vehicle,
Yeah,
just because you just really never know. And with kids, you kind of have to train them, like teach them like that, because
yeah,
what my daughters would have been like, well, what about blah, blah, blah? What about, aunt this? What about this? It's like, no, across the board. If they don't know the word, you don't get in the car. If
yeah.
someone shows up to the school to pick you up, they have to know the word or you don't get in the car. That's just it. And the school failed to call and let them know that she wasn't there.
They didn't call.
No, they did not.
Oh no.
Um, there was one interpreter at the school, and they were actually, well, they resigned, which I, I don't know. People make mistakes. Maybe
Well,
she
yeah.
had a history of it that I don't know of. Maybe she did it all the time. But if it was a one-time mistake of like forgetting to call a parent and it just happens to be that one time that tragedy struck, I
I
mean,
can't
they made a
imagine
big
that would eat a
stink
person
about it.
alive.
Huh?
That would eat a person alive if that was just an honest, simple one-time mistake and that happened.
Right. Yeah. I
And
think they're
imagine if
so
she's the
important.
parent and how much harder that would make it for her to have had
Mhm.
that happen. We all
Yeah.
make mistakes. I know I do.
Yeah. And just that mistake that you make, the thing you forget, the time you weren't so nice, and that ends up being devastating, Like that's a hard pill to swallow in life when things like that happen. And I kind of felt like the two women, because it was actually the secretary and her mother-in-law was the interpreter, so they both worked for the school. It was like, I don't know, it just something about it just seemed very political and like they had to have someone to blame and they didn't want to actually make any good changes within the school system to protect minorities. And so
Isn't
they
that
made
always the
these
way
two women
though?
resign. And while, yeah, I mean, she forgot to do her job, that was her job. Uh, She was also dealing with another family and doing interpretations during all this whole thing. And so it's like I can see where it's an easy thing to forget. But anyways, um to finish the story, this, here there was DNA found, and it was determined that she was raped.
Oh,
Rio says that Juan raped her first, and then he raped her, and then they left her body in a gravel pit. It's called Fowler Gravel. It is in Albany. It's a little rural town outside of Muncie, which is in Delaware County. And then these 2 counties, my God, it was so annoying trying to read it all because it's just like, "Are you kidding me? You petty bitches." Like, they were so petty. But these 2 counties were, like, fighting over the, cases of, like, jurisdiction and all that, and I mean, I don't know, my experience with Shannon's case, because her body was found in a different jurisdiction, and that sheriff's department was just like, "You know what? Like, this is your case. You try that there when it does come to fruition." But, like, that's not what Delaware did. They wanted, their case, and Allen County wanted their case because they had 4 murders to prosecute, and he received 4 life sentences for those. He received a life sentence for Alejandra plus 100 years for her rape and kidnapping. And within a month, I think it was a month and a half of his sentencing and getting transferred to where he would serve out his sentence, he hung himself in his jail. You know, couldn't do that before you killed all these people, but there was a lot of debate on his IQ, because in the state of Indiana, and I'm assuming others as well, anything below a certain amount, the death penalty is off the table as cruel and unusual punishment because of their capacity to understand what they have done. His was right on the line. I think it was 75. But it doesn't matter because they chose to give him plea deals. He was an illegal immigrant. But they did say that had no bearing on him getting the death penalty, because it definitely qualifies as a death penalty case, especially the murders of his family, because that could be considered premeditated and just heinous, you know? And so, yeah, that's my case. One, where it becomes the part of, is it really solved? Because he was charged with,
So there really is a one.
There really is a one. He's still around, and he is nothing but trouble. Been repeatedly in trouble with just a ton of stuff. There are a few wands though, so whichever one he is, because Allen County, I mean, I can't just see there being like 55 wands, but there's 3. And so whichever one he is, he's not turned out to be the greatest person in the world for sure. And they're all 3 like having just a mess in their divorce decree, all that stuff is in there. And one of them, which makes you kind of wonder if that's the real Juan. I wish he would stand up. His daughter was emancipated from her family during the course of the divorce. And it makes you kind of wonder if he really was involved, and why was there's literally like nothing. And Alejandra's family believes she was a strong little girl. She was a fighter. They said that she had a very loud scream. Like, she was known for it. She was like a really smart, helpful kid. Like, she often helped translate for her older family members. She was just so excited about Christmas, and but she was a fighter, like she was a bigger girl, and they just really feel like someone else helped, and Juan was the one. And it makes sense to me. I mean, once you get her in a van and you're driving 50 miles away, she knows she's not going to her school. Yeah, could he have hit her? Yeah. But why would he lie? The guy, yeah, he did all these things. He did that creepy thing with going over to her house with her parents, and that was just literally awful. But when it came time to, like, the cat's out of the bag, he literally told them everything, and there was no lies to be found. And it never said that he lied about Juan either. And so it makes you think, if someone got away with murder, I would think that an answer would be pretty easy to find. But they've pulled a lot of the articles that had to do with one. So I don't know. It's weird. He's never, I found no record of him being cleared of her murder, but I also found no record of anything regarding her, only his newest stuff with drugs. But that's my case. And I just thought,
That's infuriating.
yeah. And I'm sure they have answers, and then I'm just going to pull it up on my phone and read it. I often talk about the what it's really like to be a victim's family member. And I found this article in newspapers.com, and I just thought it was like literally a very good. It's sad. Let me pull it up. I'm just gonna pull it up on my phone and read it from there. I'm
looking up that question from the early on in the show, but now I can't find it.
It was from Hoosier Cold Cases.
Right. Thank you. Is Hoosier still here?
Oh, Cher, I didn't even know you were a mod. I didn't have any mods. I'm sorry, girl. You can go. You're fine. Has the chat been? There's someone that's watching it, so don't worry about it. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're like pressured into saying, if you gotta go, you gotta go. It'll be all right.
I can't find it now.
Well, he can ask it again.
Okay, yeah, he's here. Could you ask the question again from the beginning of the show if you still wanted it answered, Hoosier? And anyone else, if you have any questions? And then did you still want to discuss differences?
Yeah, I just wanted to read this
Okay.
just a little bit. I'm just having trouble.
What is the structure of Canadian law enforcement? What does he mean by that? Yeah, I'm wondering what that means exactly. It's if I'm understanding the question correctly, law enforcement is now, initially it was just the RCMP, but now a lot of cities have their own police forces. So say Saskatoon City Police, Regina City Police. We also have a separate highway patrol. So we're very similar to and RCMP would then basically be almost like your federal police now. So we're basically very similar to American in that way. I hope that answers your question, Hoosier.
Well, I must have forgot to save it.
Investigates bombs, etc. That's usually handled by, we do have bomb squads within the RCMP. We have drug enforcement agencies within the RCMP as well. And that's usually who would handle that, is basically that branch of the RCMP, whether it's drugs or sex trafficking, they all have their own units in each province.
All right, I found it real quick. It just goes on to talk about, she was found in snow. Her body was frozen. They had to wait. So just a lot of trauma that they had to suffer with finding out, just how she was left and what happened to her. And they said, we don't ever want to see snow again, and we don't like Christmas anymore, he said. We don't want to see snow again. December marks the 1-year anniversary of the 10-year-old's disappearance, which was followed by the slayings of Anacosas and her 3 daughters on December 13th, and the grim discovery of Alejandra's body on December 19th in Delaware County. Casas' husband, Simon Rios, 34, is charged with raping and murdering Alejandra and days later killing his wife and daughters. Leaders in the Fort Wayne's Hispanic community and those touched by the tragedy family members left behind said the woman and 4 little girls who died last December left a much bigger mark than their small statures would suggest. Her death changed everything, Emma Gutierrez, Alejandra's mother, said in Spanish. The family, which includes brother Martin and sister Martha, Lucia, and Angelica, changed churches to avoid stares and constant questions. Martha was married in Mexico last year while most of her immediate family remained in Indiana, awaiting news about Alejandra. Alejandra's body was found a few days after the wedding, and now an event that should be happy. We don't like Christmas anymore. We don't want to see the snow again. Jose Gutierrez Jr.'s brother, Martha's first wedding anniversary brings no joy. The family didn't celebrate Christmas last year and has no plans to this year, and it's too soon to know whether family will be able to celebrate Christmas next year. Emma Gutierrez said for Angelica's sake, the family thought about observing the holiday that had Alejandra so excited just before she disappeared last year, but it's just too hard. Even everyday errands are reminders of the little girl who liked being called La Chula, Spanish slang for beautiful, short for Alejandra. Her mother also now fears for the safety of Angelica, she said, glancing at her ponytail-haired daughter, Angelica, in the lace-trimmed pink tank top and jeans. Sits quietly on an armchair and draws pictures with a pen. She glances up and smiles at the mention of her name. Angelica is too young to go to school. When she does, Emma doesn't want her to walk the 2 blocks to the bus stop, where Alejandra was headed when she was abducted, and hopes to get the bus route changed to in front of their house. The family also considered moving to another home or to Mexico. Jose Gutierrez Sr. has tried convincing his wife that it's a good idea, but his wife said she wants to stay. Because their home is close to the high school where her son goes, and all of Alejandra's toys have been put away except for 2. Angelica plays with a pillow doll shaped like Dora the Explorer. Alejandra's niece is allowed to play with a rubber ball. Along with the toys, a suitcase that Alejandra had packed for the family trip to Mexico for Martha's wedding remained packed. Gutierrez said it's tucked away for storage with the toys. Martha's 18-year-old daughter toddles through the room and tosses Angelica the ball, shrieking with delight and eliciting a smile from her grandmother and uncle. It's a welcome moment of joy, something that's been in short supply during 2006, but that's the other children have helped provide. We're going to continue going forward, Jose Jr. said. And that's the aftermath.
Oh, gosh.
All of those little things when everyone's gone and the reporters go away and the sensationalism and the people that are there for you to listen and the trials are over and all of that, you're just left with that hole of being a case number's family member and we forget about all of those little things, and we I'm guilty of it too. You know, it's fascinating study of the mind of these killers. And we need to give just as much attention to um, the victims, and it needs to be more about them. And it's hard though, because even in the papers, you don't find a lot unless you really, really, really dig, or you have a family member willing to talk to you about their child, their loved one. And so I just thought that was a really good way to end my segment. And the differences in our countries seem to be pretty vast. I feel like there's a lot of information that in Canada is not as accessible. It's very hard for me. Do you find that living there that is the case?
I apologize for giggling at an inappropriate time. My dog was trying to play fetch.
Okay. Do you have
And
an
you had,
FBI equivalent in Canada?
I do, but I don't know. We do, sorry, but I don't know what they're called. I think it's just all under the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police,
Mhm.
and it's just another division, basically.
Okay.
And you
Um,
said you had some questions?
what's the names? How is Canada divided? Is it called, the states
Provinces
of
and
Canada, provinces? What was that?
provinces and territories.
Okay. And
The
so,
territories are up north, so that would be Nunavut and Yukon Northwest territories.
okay, so in the territories, is that governed by the same, like, how does your criminal justice system work as far as like a whole, as a country, and then as a province or territory?
Okay, it's again very very similar to the U.S. in that
Okay.
we have our provincial policing, we have our provincial governing, and then we also have federal, and the territories would be included under the federal, but also they would have their own territorial government and policing service.
Okay.
Again, RCMP would probably oversee the provincial police.
Okay.
So you have your provincial RCMP, and then you have your federal RCMP, which would also oversee basically the entire
Mhm.
country. And the
Gotcha.
same goes, our judicial system again is very, very similar.
Okay.
One big difference is that our sentences are very, very rarely consecutive. They're almost always concurrent.
Really? That
Yeah,
sucks. So
very much.
consecutive and concurrent, the difference is concurrent means you can serve a sentence for, like with Simon Rios. He got 5 concurrent or
Okay.
consecutive life sentences. In
And
Canada,
that
it
was
would be
going to be
concurrent
my
where he could
question
serve
too.
those at the same time.
Right.
They don't really, it seems
Which
like,
I don't understand. Why would you have multiple sentences at all?
yeah, if you're just going to have to serve them concurrently, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
don't even bother. But they are a part of the record, which do you have access to criminal records and background checks? And
No.
does the media?
No. Yes.
Do they often release information
They
or?
will, but they're usually incredibly vague. They'll say has a history of violence or maybe give some vague charges but no details.
So you don't really have anywhere where you can go. Can you pay for those things to
No,
get, or not? You just have no access.
none. Freedom
I
of information only allows you to get like court records. So if you know what you're looking for, but if you are looking to see if someone has a criminal record, you can't find that out.
You can't find out if you know the name of the person.
No.
Wow, that sucks. What about domestic violence? I mean, that's
Same
something
thing.
that
Same thing.
nothing. Child predators.
Same thing. Unless the police are allowed to release it because the predator is still a danger to society. Every once in a while they will, but it's very rare. For the most part, you can be living next door to a pedophile and not have a clue.
Are you
Or a domestic
serious?
rapist. Yep. In fact, I actually stumbled on a website one time. I wish I had bookmarked it because I can't find it again now. And I found articles for people that I didn't have a clue
Wow,
have
that's good.
committed sex
So
offenses.
you're saying that there is no sex offender registry in
There
Canada?
is, but it's only accessible to law enforcement.
What? Well, that's wow. Yeah. Anne says, wow.
Even domestic violence shelters aren't allowed to have that
They,
information.
Marissa, exactly. And that's why that information is crucial. I mean, good God, I can't, that's hard
I
to,
agree.
that's hard to wrap my head around. I don't even know what to say. I did have a question. I'm sure you know the names, but I do not remember the names. The guy that eviscerated the poor soul on the bus,
Oh God.
he just literally,
Vincent. What was his last name?
I don't remember, but I
That
remember
is a case
being
I
really
refuse to
upset.
cover, even though it is definitely highlights some serious issues. That isn't a case I will not cover. Vincent
Really,
Lee.
he's out. I mean,
Yeah,
well, and that
yeah,
was
he
like,
is, and he's not under any mandatory supervision or controls
right.
to seek treatment for his schizophrenia.
So that was
And
my
that's
question
another
for
issue I
you.
have with the judicial system
Yeah.
is that if
I,
someone is not criminally insane, then as soon as they are better, they're released without any conditions or monitoring of any kind.
right. That was my question with the culpability in America. It seems to be you can try, but most of the time you are not going to get that, even for, if you try to plead criminally insane, incapacitated, you're not going to get it just because you still, it comes back to culpability of knowing that you were doing something wrong. But in Canada, it really seems that a lot of murderers get off because they can just like be insane, whether they are or
Mm-hmm.
not. And the insanity, I think it comes down to, were they aware? Was there anything, that they knew what they were doing was wrong or whatever? And it seems like in Canada, that's not really how it is at all. Is that accurate? They're a lot lenient on mental incapacity in courts.
I think they are a little bit different than America, and I do think that we do get a few more who do get found criminally not insane and then have to get treatment. But I still don't think it's super common.
I found quite a few cases though, that because of that one that I was looking into, it was like, oh, maybe this is like a thing. And that's why I asked you about, because it was like 3 of them had been um, put into, hospitals instead of
Yep.
prisons where it seemed like they belonged for what they did. And like, the threat to society doesn't seem to be much of a concern, though, in Canada,
No, it isn't.
because
It
they
really
let
isn't.
pedophiles, like, you can't check a pedophile, you can't check if someone had a history of domestic abuse, you can't check to make sure your kids are safe, and you can't check to see if the murderer's living next door, which is just pretty crazy.
Mhm. In Toronto, there was, I believe, in 2019, a guy who was convicted of manslaughter for stabbing his girlfriend, pardon me. He was out on parole, and part of his parole conditions, hang on to your seat for this one. Part of his parole conditions was he's not allowed to enter into a relationship with a woman because he poses a danger to women. However, he can hire sex workers to satisfy his needs.
Cool.
And guess what he did? He killed her.
Shocker. I'm not understanding which has high crime rates. So I think she might be comparing like Canada to the United States of we have a higher crime rate. Is that something that we can even, find a qualitative answer to? Because there isn't anything
Honestly, whenever I've looked into crime
statistically,
rates,
like, where are those statistics and are they available to the public to even know?
they are, but I will tell you that they vary from one source to another
Yeah.
by quite a bit.
I find that so sad. Statistics should be
If
something
you
that you can count
if
on.
you look,
It's just numbers.
for example, if you want to look up the crime statistics for Toronto, I mean for Ontario, pardon me. If
Mhm.
you look on the provincial RCMP, like Ontario RCMP, they'll give you one statistic, and if you look at Canada, they'll give you a different one.
Yeah. That seems to be a global
It
problem
is.
with
I
numbers.
think they analyze things differently and use different criteria as to what falls into certain types of crimes.
True. True. Yeah.
And so you get different numbers and you don't know which is which.
True. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I love Indiana, and I know that Ivy's talked about Oklahoma being a state that is really good about public access and actually access that is free. There's a lot of states in America where you pay, and I mean it is such a scam. Like trying to look up anything in Alabama, so infuriating because okay, so it costs you I think at the time it was like $9.50 to search a name. Like they don't care if you maybe spelled it wrong or it doesn't pop up anything, you're paying $9.50. And then once that, say you do get a hit and you can open that one, but if they have any other ones, you have to pay another $9.50. If you want access to the affidavits and all of that, it's $9.99. So
Oh, you'd
for
really
one,
be in trouble with the one I ran into. One time I was researching a case and I discovered there were two people murdered in the same province with the exact same name.
see, and that's the thing is like I was trying to do some research
What a
on
nightmare
one
to sort through.
and realized that if I wanted to continue down this path, it would cost me around $400 to
Mm-hmm.
pull all of the criminal records that we take for granted in my case and DocsPop, and I'm sure Ivy has, with Oklahoma being very similar. And there are other states that are open and free, but I just feel like the Freedom of Information Act shouldn't come with a price tag for who can afford it and who can't.
Yeah,
Those are
what
things that
happened
keep
to
us
the
safe.
freedom part?
Yeah, it's not definitely not free. So it's just
Yeah,
Information Act.
exactly. And that's,
Yeah.
isn't that what freedom starts with, is free?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what that means, Ivy. Who are we shunning? Hopefully you're not talking about the people that make everything so expensive in Alabama. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a
Yeah.
racket is what it is. It's a racket, and, it's pretty crazy, but it seems like what do you call do you call them, like, here we have district attorneys, prosecutors, lawyers, like, are the names the
Crown
same?
Card.
Judges? Huh?
Okay, I'm going to try this again because I flubbed it. Crown Prosecutor.
Crown prosecutor.
Yeah.
Okay, what are judges? Judges?
Yeah.
That the same?
Yeah. They're just judge.
What about defense attorneys?
Same. Just a defense attorney.
Detectives, police officers, chiefs.
I'm not sure about I don't understand the whole hierarchy, but I do know detectives are called detectives. We have, different rankings like staff sergeant and constable and special constable and stuff like that. But exactly how the hierarchy works, I haven't really looked into.
Constable? Is that it?
Yep.
I know. Crown prosecutor, so that is pretty fancy. Where do a lot of the names of Canadian territories come from? Are they what is the dialect? What is the background, like the origin? They're very hard to say.
Each province is different. I think the vast majority kind of come from the indigenous language,
Okay.
one or
So
another. I know Saskatchewan
yeah.
is out of the indigenous. It's after the Saskatchewan River
Mm-hmm.
and what their word for it was, but I can't remember what it was now.
Okay.
I think some provinces and a lot of place names do come a lot from the French and English cultures that colonized us back then.
Okay.
But there are some like the in can I try this again? Now I lost my thought. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to pass that thought. It's gone.
That's okay. I am trying. Give me just a second,
Yes, Ivy
guys.
Rose. A lot of it is French and British, but I do know Saskatchewan was from an indigenous name, and British Columbia is obviously British. Newfoundland, Labrador. Well, that's yeah. Again, that's English. But Manitoba and Ontario and Saskatchewan, I do believe, come from the indigenous languages. Does anyone else have any questions, or are we done?
I think that's it. I was trying to find my rescue I don't think Watcher has been here today, though. I was going to feature her rescue. I wanted to
Right.
feature a rescue each week. So I'll wait until she's here. But because of one I know off the top of my head, I will feature it. What is that called?
I volunteer at the SPCA. Does that count?
Oh my goodness. Why is it just, it was in my head and then it was just gone.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to pass that on to you.
Here we are. This is a shelter that is very near and dear to my heart. I have donated in the past, and I love their rescue. It is located in Avon, Indiana. It's called Misty Eyes Animal Center. And they do a really great job of keeping animals that would otherwise be killed. There's another word I could say, but let's just be real. They kill them. And they also don't really have them in the typical rescue thing. They foster a ton of their animals, and they have built this badass cat sanctuary that is just literally beyond cool. They really care about these animals, and the way they vet we got one of our little guy from them, and they still we've had him for over 3 years, and they still check on him. They
Oh,
just
wow.
do a really great job of making sure these animals, and making sure that people know, like, if this animal is not with you anymore, it comes back to us. You have to sign a contract to where they don't end up with a bunch of their animals that they have adopted out to people in shelters.
Yeah.
And so you return them to them. And they also, it's a part of, like, I think it's a part you can opt into, which we totally did, because it was just another place that we trust, that if one of our dogs were, or one of the dog that we got from them, and we will probably always use them because they're amazing people. They will, as a part of their microchip, it has them as a contact in case, something happens with that person. There's always someone else that cares about these animals that are going to come and get them from these shelters. And so I think that is really, really cool. They have tons of beauties, tons of kitties. My
Oh,
daughter wants one so bad.
we just
But
got
I am
our
so
spring chicken
allergic.
pups.
And look at this guy. Like, meet Leon. He's a real
Oh,
cute little hound mix who spent his life outside on a chain before
look
being
how cute.
surrendered to a high kill shelter.
Oh, no.
I get emotional already just reading that.
I am too.
Misty Eyes pulled him along with 4 dogs from the same owner from the shelter and placed him in a foster home. He is living with other dogs and is doing very well with them. He does not do well with cats. However, so he will need to go to a cat-free home. He has been around other children and after some initial nervousness, did just great. Leon is very bonded with Nova, who we think is a relative of his, and we want to see them together. Oh, look at that
That is
face. Like, how can you hurt these little cute beauties? Like, just, oh, so cute. So, if anyone would like more information, please reach out to me. And here's Nova. Oh,
aw.
that Nova will not be a dog who immediately wants to play with children. Because of her shyness, she do best with children 8 or older. She's a picky about female dogs, but seems to be fine with the males. She's a little shy and unsure of herself, but is making progress each day with this. She is being fostered with Leon, and they make an adorable and fun pair because they're so bonded. Again, they want to keep them together. Aw, that's so sweet. But see what I mean? I mean, they really just try to give the dogs the best chance, because if you think about, I mean, how would you like to be like put in I know, like, it's all that they can do. You can only work with what you have in some of the larger shelters, but to be able to have people that are willing to foster, to adopt, is just literally, that's where it's at. The youth programs, I mean, literally, I couldn't say enough good things about this place. Their training, their programs for kids, and putting dogs with children in just the bonds that can be created there, and learning and about and educating people. They just literally, you can foster, you can volunteer, you can donate. They have a wish list. I'll probably be doing that myself, is sometimes around the holidays, I will. And this has been one of the places that I donate to, just giving back for what they gave us, and such a little monster of a joy. You can host fundraisers. But yeah, so this is the one I'm going to feature until I can get with Wendy, and I want her to be here for that. So there is our rescue, and
Yeah,
I
we want
will
to
put it,
adopt a cat.
I will add it to the show notes, so that you can get on this website. And if you have any questions or need any assistance, want to adopt a dog or a cat, please reach out to me, and I will send you all the information that you need. Is this locked down?
I'm
I don't
all
know.
for adopt, don't shop.
See if that works in there, but I'll put it in the description as well. So fun. All right, guys. I think that wraps it up.
Have a good day, all. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you guys for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Enjoy each other. Y'all have a
Take
good
care.
one. Oh, thank you, Tonya. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you, Mel, for having me. I appreciate it. I was a
Oh, no
little bit patchy
problem.
there. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
next time we have Nick
I'm
Graziano
looking
going to join
forward to
me.
that.
Yeah, he's going to be joining me for a case in Peru. So that will be coming up. Oh, we picked a date, and I've already forgot. I think it was like the first week of April, or maybe the second. So yeah, look for that. I'm excited. I think this has
Oh,
been
so am
pretty
I.
cool.
He is too.
Yeah, he's fun. He's so laid back and just
I
chill.
went on his. He is so nice. He is
Yeah.
such a sweetheart.
Yeah, very good energy. I think that Real Gonzo and AJ, they kind of all remind me of like this, remind me of some family members I have in Colorado. So yeah, they're pretty cool
Oh, that's
dudes.
awesome.
All right, we will talk to you guys all later. Have a good one. Thanks for
Okay.
coming. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.